My short 2-day-long visit to Dublin was pretty fast and furious, but I have still managed to see quite a lot of this contrast city, where grand Georgian buildings reside in a physical proximity to the quiet provincial streets, and the only constant part is the good humor of the city inhabitants and music which fills the city inside and out. South Street Market. The city boasts a few of the medieval cathedrals, partly belonging to the Irish Church, partly to the Roman Catholic Church. I first visited St. Patrick, which was founded in 1191, where famous Jonathan Swift served as dean.
Sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive,
The famous Book of Kells, written in the 10th century, is kept in a hold adjacent to the long room of the library of the St. Trinity College. Trinity College is an alma mater of many famous writers and philosophers, such as Jonathan Swift himself, Oscar Wilde, or Bram Stoker. In the evening I am heading toward Temple Bar area. Of course it is a tourist trap, but there is a lot of fun. The area is full of Irish pubs and music, and the fun goes on till the morning. This cool-looking Irishman is trying to turn a little profit, asking youngsters who already had their share of beer to ride a bike with a very wobbly handlebar for a certain distance for money. The streets of this vibrant part of the city are full of artists, music is everywhere, and the fun will continue till the morning. Already late at night, I am heading towards Stephen's Green and then take the road where Georgian beautiful houses stand silent in the night, heading toward my place. Next morning I am heading toward Dublin Castle, where I am walking tour starts.
And a passage tomb, our most famous passage tomb here is Newgrange, which is in the middle of the country. It's actually 500 years older than the pyramids in Egypt.
6 meters thick walls of the tower are the only remaining medieval part of the castle. Everything else was destroyed and gunpowder explosion was rebuilt in the 18th century.
Dublin Castle, and that's the really crazy story of Red Hugh O'Donnell. So Red Hugh, he was the son of the King of Donegal. Imagine it's Ireland's Donegal, it's right up in the northwestern corner.
Our guide Keegan tells us the story of the Red Hugh of Donegal, who spent 14 years in prison after accepting a free booze from the hands of English spy. He did heroically escape in the end, losing both his toes to the frostbite, but didn't learn the lesson. Later, in Spain, another English spy has offered him free liquor again. This time it was poisoned.
I see you when you fall asleep, never to touch, never to keep, 'cause you love her too much, dive too deep. 'Cause you only need the light when it's burning low, only miss the sun when it starts to snow, only know you love her when you let her go. Only know you love her when you let her go. 'Cause you only need the light when it's burning low, only miss the sun when it starts to snow, only know you love her when you let her go.
Grafton Street is the main shopping venue of the city of Dublin, and this Sunday morning is full of people and street musicians trying to gather attention of the walking public.
Places that were near to me and good to me, some are gone now, come forever.
tour, this time talking about the dark sides of the Dublin history. Who would know that in this Olympia Theatre there is a friendly ghost? Kieran, our guide, tells us all kinds of freaky stories about executions, hunger, burning of the witches, turning churches into brothels, and about famous strangler Billy in the Bowl. Church of the Christ the Saviour Cathedral is a rare example of the temple building which serves both Irish Church, which is a division of the Anglican or Reforming Church, and Roman Catholic Church. It is the oldest medieval cathedral of Dublin, founded around 1000 AC, and the Archbishop of Dublin has a seat here. The underground crypt of the cathedral is biggest in England and in Ireland, and hosts an exhibition of very interesting items ranging from the gilt silver presented by the King James and up to the Tudor costumes used in shooting the latest series. Also on display are mummified bodies of a cat and a rat, probably serving as historical curiosity. The cat was chasing a rat into one of the bigger organ pipes, got stuck there, animals had nowhere to escape, and the constant flow of air mummified bodies of both animals. I am heading toward the Little Museum of Dublin. All items in this private museum were donated by Dubliners, and our excellent guide Lucy is telling us stories about famous famine in Ireland, which caused more than 1 million people to die of starvation or immigrate. As a direct result of that, about 80 million people in the world now claim some degree of Irish heritage. There are other stories talk about James Joyce, who wrote his famous Ulysses here, and about funny Lord Mayor of Dublin, Alfie Beer.
We had a devastating famine. 1 million people died of starvation and epidemic disease. Another million were forced to emigrate, and our population fell by more than a quarter. As you may have guessed, I did not. Now, most Dubliners will admit that they've read the first page of Ulysses, and so in their honour, we've left our copy open on the last page. And now you can all say that you finished it. Incidentally, actually, somebody once asked Joyce if they could shake the hand that wrote Ulysses, and he said, "Of course!"
This cozy little private museum has an interesting collection of items. One of the rooms is dedicated to the famous band U2. Generally, it makes a very good impression, and I highly recommend Dublin visitors not to neglect this place and pay a visit. My next stop is Marion Square Park, where there is a monument to Oscar Wilde. He's one of my beloved writers. He also lived nearby, having an apartment in a building which now belongs to an American college. I spent my last evening in Dublin in O'Neill's famous pub, listening to live music and watching step dance in a company of Irish and Danish people, talking about Flann O'Brien and having a mighty savage crack.
When things go wrong and will not come right, though you do the best you can, and life looks black as the hour of night, a pint of plain is your only man. When money's tight and it's hard to get, and your horse has also ran, and all you have is a heap of debt, a pint of plain is your only man.
Clouds are drifting all across the moon.
the dogs. Saw a train set the night on fire. I smell the smoke on the dusty road. Dirty old town, it's a dirty old town. I'm going to make me a good sharp box. Shining steel, tempered in the fire. I'm going to chop you down like an old dead tree. A dirty old town, it's a dirty old town.
In time of trouble and lousy strife, you have still got a darling plan. You still can turn to a brighter life. A point of playing is your only man. There's one thing in that poem. Permanence, if you know what I mean. That poem, I mean to say, is a poem that'll be heard wherever the Irish race is wont to gather. It'll live as long as there's a hard root of an Irishman left by the Almighty on this planet. Mark my words.